Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be discussing how the Avatar Elemental Sphere was created. This is not going to be a detailed tutorial per se. If you want something more detailed, you can check out my previous video on how I created the 4 elements. This will give you a detailed in look on how the elements were created. As for this, it's just going to be like a commentary on the general ideology behind the creation of the elements. So without further ado, let's hop into the software in which the magic was created, which is Blender. Before we start, guys, please, I will need you guys to like and subscribe. This helps me to keep bringing you guys this amazing content as we know it. I love you guys love me, and we're all one happy family. So let's start with none other than the airball. This is simply smoke simulated along a curved path. First, create a circular curved object, then make it into a force field. As you can see, make it into a force field. I set the shape to curve. I should not be repeating these things. If you don't already know how this was created, just go to my previous tutorial on the 4 elements. So after the force field curve was created, next I created a particle system, and then as you can see, the particle system is going to follow the curve. The particle system is going to follow the curve. After that, while selected on the particle object, I went up here to object, then quick effect, and added a quick smoke. In the particle physics properties, change the flow behavior to inflow. It should be that. If it's not, make sure you change it to inflow, and then change the flow source to particle system down here and select the particle system of your choice. For the domain, scroll down to field weight and reduce the force. If the force is not reduced, the force field object is still going to pull the smoke, and we don't want this because the smoke is already being simulated from the particles, so we don't need it to really be pulled by the force field object again. So that's why I reduced it to enable the smoke to kind of behave as it should, but still follow a little bit, because if I reduce it all the way down to 0, the smoke is just going to be evaporating, hereby covering everywhere, thereby not being able to show that is a airball. Thank you. After that, increase your resolution and bake, and boom, there we have it, the airball. To the next element, water. Please guys, don't forget to subscribe. I love you. The water was created differently to how I did it in the 4 elements video, so you may really want to stick around for this one. This way to me is so much better, and if I had known this on time, this is how I would have created water. This time, unlike a fluid simulation, I used displacement map to give that illusion of moving water. First, I created a torus. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Now, time for the displacement. Listen carefully. In the modifier tab, I created the displacement map using a large scale noise texture. This first displacement map is to control the large wiggles of the water. Under the direction, set the displace modifier to only affect the Z direction. I set the coordinate object, then I selected an animated empty I created so that the water has continuous movement. Now for the fine details. First, I added a subdivision surface modifier to add more geometry so that the fine details will really be fine. Then I created a displacement map with a smaller scale noise texture. This displacement map is to control the ripples in the water. For the movement of this displacement map, I did as was done in the previous one for the larger movement. The only difference was that I didn't change the direction. I left the direction to follow the normals. And that is how the water for this elemental sphere was created. As I've said before, if I knew, or if I had known this earlier, I would have used this method instead of simulating liquid along a curved path. It didn't look that nice to me compared to this. Next, fire. As you may have already guessed, the fire is created by particles simulated along a curve. This is so repetitive. As I've already said earlier, if you want something more detailed, go to my previous video on the 4 elements. As for this, we're just going to breeze through it. So, as you know, create a curve force field, then particle simulation that will follow it. And then simulate your fire, setting the flow source to be from the particles. As simple as that. As I've said, if you want something more in-depth, check my previous tutorial on the 4 elements. This is just like a repetition. So with that simply said, that is how the fire simulation for the Avatar elemental sphere was created. Last but not the least, don't forget to subscribe, guys. I'm telling you, you really do want to hit that subscribe button, John. As I was saying, last but not the least, the Earth. Let me give you guys a few seconds to guess how the Earth was done. Animations! If you guessed right. And if you have watched the 4 element video, you must have probably still guessed right. Anyways, the Earth is just simply animated. I created a bunch of rocks and then I animated them to follow a curve. As simple as that. In fact, the Earth was the simplest thing that was created. In both the 4 elements and the elemental sphere, the Earth gave me the least amount of problems. So basically, with all that compiled, that is how the avatar elemental sphere was created. If you guys love this video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It helps me to keep bringing educational content like this. And if there's something specific you guys want to see, please leave it in the comments. I'm always in the comments. I love you guys. I always respond. I'll look at what you say and I'll implement, because what? I want to bring you guys happiness. That is why you should subscribe. Anywho, that is the end of this video, and I'll be bringing more tutorials like this on things I've created and things I will create. So make sure you stick around, and until next time, Ifeme RC. Bye.